Hello, my name is Jeremy, and welcome to Taos. This is a realm that is entirely made of adobe. Yes, adobe. May I interest you in a dream catcher? Or perhaps you would like some handmade, hand-rolled incense. I've made soap from the remains of a Hyundai Santa Fe that crashed when it thought it was in Santa Fe, and it turned out it was in Taos. But welcome, friend. Or we could just take the car and drive it around and talk about it. It's an SUV. It's a Volkswagen. Who knew? Please stay with us. And I will later make some kind of poultice out of various herbs. In case, sorry. Let's go on with the car review. Sorry. Good to see you, though. There's nothing quite like spring in New Mexico, especially when one is in Taos. So you know what I love about this Volkswagen Taos? There's many things about it. It's a nice car. It's a very good compact SUV, but what I love the most about it is how Volkswagen, in their way, decided to attack the legacy of Hyundai, which names all their SUVs after things like there's the Santa Fe, which is also in New Mexico. Now, nobody's got anything called the Albuquerque, I don't think. Would give them time, right? But they literally, there's a number of things like Santa Cruz and all these other place names that Hyundai's been using in their SUV and in the case of the Santa Cruz, their little pickup truck. They always appropriated these names for their lineup, and yet here comes Volkswagen. And they just march right in and take the name Taos.
Son, you've got a snake on your face.
You got the antenna head.
So I do. Name's the Tick. And to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Me?
Me.
Which is a great name for an SUV because a lot of people go to Taos, especially during the wintertime, for recreational activities, especially skiing. Now this one right before you, this 2023 model, is not the greatest thing in the world as far as skiing is concerned because, well, it's the middle of springtime, there's no snow anywhere, but even more important than that, this is the front-wheel drive model, which once again makes it so similar to the Volkswagen Jetta, which we reviewed not too long ago at all. And it turned out to be a great little car. And this thing is basically the same thing. It's just an SUV. And what do I mean by that? Well, wheelbase, the same. Engine, the same. Transmission, I'm not entirely sure. Close to the same. But here's what one of the most telling things of all. This thing almost weighs exactly the same. It's about 150 pounds more heavy. Weightier, having more gravitational attraction to the center of the earth. But otherwise, what you're looking at is so incredibly similar to our Jetta SEL that we tested not too long ago. So, as you may remember, I really love that little car. I thought it was terrific. How do I feel about this one? Well, I'm real happy with it so far. And why wouldn't I be? Because it's the same thing. I'm sure there's probably a little bit of, with the complete changing of the aft portion of the vehicle, I think a lot of the bodywork is different. Probably the doors aren't the same. And especially the rear door, obviously, because they had to change a whole lot in order to get that you know, in order to get this particular thing in here, right here, known as your hatch and your hatchback, which we'll examine in just a second. But you see, if you were looking at the Jetta right now, this would be all torn up right here. This would be a little window here, and this would be your trunk area, something like that. As you know, that no doubt remember. But this is what you can do when you have a chassis that is easily adaptable to a variety of different types of vehicles. You can do this. You can just take some tweaks, but the drivetrain and everything else you can leave alone because it works perfectly fine in both applications. As you will no doubt recall, I was flummoxed and conundrized. I didn't really understand the whole situation with the lugs on this Volkswagen before, the Jetta, you know. It's the same thing, the same color, nautical blue or whatever it is. Blue Nemo, lots of blue, whatever, I'll have to check. I left my notes around here somewhere. I think they're on the ground, but this particular thing is, I thought, very funny because it looks like, if you take a good look at these lugs here, it looks like they are star-shaped, and you'd need a special star-shaped wrench to take them off. But these are just covers that pop off, and there's a little wire thing, which I'm going to show you this time, that pops that off, and then you have a regular lug beneath. And it really flummoxed me initially, and why they do that is because they're Volkswagen, and they can. That's why. But if you examine and indeed appreciate these Goodyear Assurance tires, you will note that our tire size on this particular vehicle is also a fairly narrow unit. I'm looking for the size. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's right where it's down there. I can't see it. I'm saying that's probably, I won't say an 18-inch. Well, let's look at this other tire back here. Uh-huh. Well, it looks just like the front tire, only the caliper's so much smaller. Our tire size is, in fact, 215/50R18. And that wheel looks amazingly similar to our Jetta SEL wheel. If you were paying attention, and I knew you were, because that's the way you are, you do pay attention. And then, over here, I mean, this logo right here, for example, on this front fender, and I'm willing to bet the front fender is the same. It said, what, Jetta or something there. But it's the same, man. Dude, it's the same. So as we go around back, this is the business end of this car. This is where all the changes take place. This is where our SUV versatility comes in. And look at here, look at here. Oh, it's not like I love. It's not, well, it's just like the trunk on the on the Jetta. It's not power or anything, it's just got springs on it. I thought it had the little flip-up thing that I love so much on some Volkswagens. The Golf has still got it, I believe, where underneath the logo, when you put the car in reverse, the little logo thing flips up, and that's where the camera is, the rear camera, and it stays clean because they did that. And it also doubles as the handle that you use to open the rear hatch. Not on this one though, as you saw. But here's our depth. Here's our deepness. This is a nice deep cargo area. It is very short fore and aft, but as far as up and down, it's got a lot of room in it. It's pretty good. Now, for the first time, let us examine this together. Woo, yeah. Of course, we have a temporary spare tire. And I know it's a temporary spare tire because it says temporary use only on it. Now over here we go. That's how you take off those little covers on your lugs. I make a special deal out of this because I'm going to just destroy this. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Look at this. This is Boots learning in action. I think it goes like that. There we go. That'll work. They do love it when I tear up their equipment. But anyway, this is kind of a very much economy car fare as far as the finishing in the cargo area, but you have a lot of generous cargo area, and you have the standard universal 60/40 fold down seat backs. And if I could remember where the hell I put my notes, Hang on just a minute. Dun, da, da. Dun, 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 dun. I thought I put them over here. There they aren't. Here they are. All right. Now let's see now. What do we have? We have the standard cargo area with those seats in place. Oh, is 27.9 cubic feet of space. But if you fold those rear seat backs forward, it swells to 65.9 cubic feet. Not bad for a little weeny thing like this, because this is not a big vehicle. This is a compact. And it'll be real interesting to see. Now your first blush decision might be, will it have, same drivetrain, right? Will it have better or worse gas mileage? Now the one I had before got under 30, and I think a car this small should get at least 30 miles per gallon overall. But for some reason this one didn't, but it does have a very small engine, a 1.3 liter inline four, and yes, it's turbocharged, but it still has to do a lot of work to propel this thing, and it propels it very nicely. Acceleration, everything's very good. So without further ado, let's take a look at that engine and see if it looks any different from the Jettas. Holy blocks of moly. You know, if I didn't know better, yet I was speaking to my good friend Mr. Deja Vu, and Mr. Vu swears we've seen this before. And what we have is our 1.3 liter turbo, and look at the notes. They're right there. It's 158 horsepower and at 5,500 RPM, and 184 foot-pounds of torque at a low 1,750 RPMs. So that's the same exactly as on the Jetta. So that would lead one to believe that that is, in fact, the same engine. And it is. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? But as you can tell, the turbo's in the back right in here. Air box feeds into the turbo right there. And if you look down deep in here, come crawl down with me. Somewhere down in there, we definitely have an intercooler below the radiator, the primary engine radiator. So the wind comes, oh, here we go, the wind. It's all in the wind. Right here is where our air intake comes from the turbo after being intercooled, because whenever you turbocharge something, you compress it and it makes it get hotter. So they cool it down using the intercooler, and that goes right into this composite plastic, whatever it is, intake runner system that goes right into your 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the same engine as before. The same engine, it even has this OS3 or whatever. Can y'all see that? That same marking, looks like it was done by a human person, was done on the Jetta also. So it's the same engine. Here's your little superstructure right here to stabilize engine vibrations. And there, look, there's the koozie right there. The koozie you remember for the battery. So it's the same thing. I mean, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they both come from the exact same little place that they have, the room they keep their engines in when they're building these things. And by the way there, where do they build this? Let's have a look. Looking at your Monroney, I see it is, so here's your Monroney. It is, in fact, country of origin, the engine is Mexico and the transmission is Japan. Pretty amazing for a German car, huh? Well, that's the world we live in. It's wild. It's diverse. It is multinational. But that's, I'm sure there's an engine plant probably in Mexico that just churns these things out for all over the world. And it is kind of amazing when you realize how small this engine is. I bet it doesn't weigh a hell of a lot. I bet I could just grab hold of it, unbolt all this here, grab hold of it and just pull it right out of there if I wanted to. No, I couldn't. Not at my age. I could have. When I was a young feller, I could have done it. I did that all day. I just took one engine out and put another one in. It was no big deal. Of course, nowadays, you damn kids, all your engines are made out of aluminum. Back then, they were all made of cast iron. That was tough. So anyway, same engine as in the Jetta. The peak for the horsepower is fairly high, But again, they make up for it, and the drivability is great just because the torque is so low. The peak torque starts at 1750, and I think it's fairly consistent through most of the mid-range of the rev range. So there you go. Same engine, same paint job, same transmission, I think. There's got to be a ratio change somewhere, right? I mean, this is an SUV, it weighs 200 pounds more, 150 pounds more. Okay, 137.5 pounds more. But it's got to be the same, right? Probably, but will it drive the same? I mean, it's taller. It's got to be taller. There's changes in the greenhouse just to make it a little bit taller than the Jetta. Because that Jetta looked like a sedan, and this looks like an SUV. I mean, this does look a whole lot boxier, you see. But I don't know. We'll see. The truth is in the driving. Ah, my friends, does this look familiar to you? Well, here's the thing. Now, I keep going on and on and on about how this is just basically a Jetta that has a bigger body on it. And I can make a good case for that, actually, but especially considering the drivetrain and the chassis, all that kind of stuff. But there are differences, and one of the biggest being, of course, it's a different body. It has a much taller greenhouse. It is an SUV with a hatch as opposed to a sedan with a trunk. That's a huge difference right there. But, however, there are some little subtle changes too that I find very interesting. One of these is the Volkswagen Digital Cockpit. Now, as you remember from the Jetta, no doubt, there were a couple of different display options that you could use that I just really didn't like at all, but there was one I thought was beautiful, and that was the standard analog simulator. This is, of course, one flat piece of glass right here. It ain't no real bezel, a real bezel, or anything like that. It's just a virtual resemblance to an analog instrument. In this case, the tachometer. Yeah, woo, woo. Or, if you don't like that God, my hand keeps getting in the way, I'm sorry. If you don't like that tachometer, you can go here, and you can get this minimalist crap that I really don't like. I don't know why, I don't like that. I like more instrumentation in my instrumentation. There's this in here, which is a speedometer. And as you see, as I give it gas, nothing happens. We're not moving. So those are your choices. And what I really loved on the Volkswagen, which I will show you now, on the Jetta, which again, I will show you now. Aww. I like having a tachometer and a speedometer, a normal format, in other words, for what we're used to in our instrument cluster. But this is okay. I mean, this is a digital thing, because the speedometer is down here, and then you have your tachometer, and then in the middle you have a couple of choices about what you can do with all that. And then to the left side and to the right side, you don't have much in the way of choices, like nothing. That's what your display is going to be. You're going to have your remaining fuel, your gas gauge, and your 2.0 fuel. In other words, 235 miles before you're out of gas at current values based on what the engine has been doing. Right now, that's going to go down because we're just sitting here idling. So, and over here, we have our cruise control. And this here is, what the hell is that? I don't know. Brake is not on, put brake on, light goes off. That's something I should probably know what it is. No idea. No, sorry. But I'm not a huge fan of having this weird little digital speedometer here. And like I said, if you go to the other one, you do have a full speedometer, and you still have the digital speedometer over here. And to the left, we have our indicator to what gear we're in. We be in park now, but then we can go down to drive, and then we can go over to manual 1, and we have a total of 8 forward speeds. No, really, I think we have 8 forward speeds. Let's not get involved with what happened with the Kia Soul, okay? I had a problem with figuring out. Anyway, so there's drive, and there's park. Now, if you go for the minimalist outlook, as some of you may like, you can do things over here. You can put a variety of different things right here. Let's put average fuel economy, shall we? And there it is. 36.8 since refueling. That's really good. I'm impressed with that, if that's true. And I think it probably is. And you can also go over here, and let's put, what would we like to have? Let's put gear display, oil temperature. For some reason, let's do that. There's our oil temperature. So the minimalist design of this one allows you on the side quadrants to put whatever information you would like to have there. And that's cool. I mean, that's, if they want to do it that way, that's for you, and that's the choice you have. But I'm going to stick with this speedometer, I think. No. I'm going to stick with the tachometer, because I get to do that. And then you do have a few adjustments you can make to the middle. In other words, the same things that were on the side of the minimalist gauge design, you can actually put in the middle of this one. And we like no display. What happens if I do? Oh, that'll just go completely blank. Driving data and economy, that's the one we like. That will give you instantaneous fuel economy. And then, if you want, average fuel distance and time. That's that for your particular trip. 216 miles, which is essentially your trip odometer since we refueled. Cool, huh? Well, how did I have what was up there? Destination info? Well, there's nothing. We don't have a route guidance not active. Yeah, we don't have a navigation system on this, by the way. None. But you can get it, apparently. The compass is nice. You can put the compass there. Why am I not being able to go back to what I had before? Driving data. Maybe that's it. That's the one. Okay. Enough of this. I'm sorry, but I'm fascinated by the fact that with their instrument cluster systems now, especially when they're completely virtual, we have a lot of choices of what we can do and what we can put there. But it is different on the Taos than it is on the Jetta. And the Taos, this must be more SUV-ish. And that's why they've changed it. Otherwise, I would have expected the exact same thing you have on the Jetta. But that's me. So let's go over here to our main touchscreen. And right now we have the radio up. And what are our choices here? Well, you can put media up in here to connect your Bluetooth device, your phone. And naturally, it is both CarPlay, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay compatible. Put car over here, and there it is. Wrong color. Can we change that? Selection, yes. Vehicle status. Drive safely. Well, who can argue with that? Tire pressure monitoring system. We can actually easily set that. That's very valuable. If you're the kind of person that for some reason, even though this isn't a hardcore SUV and this particular model is only front wheel drive, but if you do go into a situation, let's say you like to drive on the beach and you want to drop that air pressure down to say about 20, you can do that, and then you can recalibrate your tire pressure monitoring system so it won't balk and you won't have this yellow light on it all the time. And then when you get off the beach and want to go back on the pavement and you have the facility to air up your tires, you can air them back up to where they should be and recalibrate your tire pressure monitoring system, and off you go. Nice, actually. Not a bad thing to have if you're so inclined to drive on the beach, and many of you are. I know how you are. But here we have, see, this is what I had, eco tips. I don't want eco tips. And driving data is data, you can have it automatically do all that. But as far as your instrument cluster itself, you've seen, there's nothing that are tied into driving modes because, well, let's be honest. Shall we be honest with them? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. There are no driving modes. Just the one you got. The assist systems, this, of course, you do have a lot of different things like your adaptive cruise right there. Is that it? Is that it? That's what she said. That's pretty much what you have as far as that goes. You do have a lane keeping assist system, which is also part of your adaptive cruise control that you can use. And naturally, you have your blind spot monitor. One of the greatest, one of all the technologies is one of the very, very best to ever come along, because that is very, very helpful. Although you should still try to visually check your blind spot if you can, just to be safe. Come on, let's be safe. I've already been here, and there was not a lot there. And there's not a whole lot. Well, vehicle. Well, what do we have? Yeah, they took us back there. Well, see, this is what, when you have a vehicle that is fairly stripped, and this particular trim level is 1.5T SE. I think we're pretty much, that's the base, or close to it. So that's what you get. Not as much as you get on the other things. So when you're going to these higher trim levels, you're actually paying for something, including some additional, well, let's put it this way, things that you can do with your center display. And now, let's go down to here. Now, do we have heated seats? Yes. Very nice. Right here. And you have 3 selections, 3 levels of intensity. Then you have your rear fogger right here, anti-fogger right there. And yes, you do have a nice, unlike the Kia Soul, which I had the other day. No, it wasn't the Kia Soul. What was it? Oh, I know what it was. It was the Toyota BZR4X, the all-electric, and it really needed to have a rear windshield wiper, and it didn't, and they need to fix that immediately. Now, get on it. Come on, guys. Grab the one off of, say, the RAV4. Grab one of those and just paste it on there. So here we have our digital clock, which drives me crazy because time does not move in stop-start increments. I like smooth second hands. That's just me. Our climate control system here is always also rudimentary. Another sign of the baseness of our trim level, because you have no automatic setting and no quadrants. So in other words, you can't set a zone on the driver's side and a zone on the passenger side to be different temperatures, and the car will try to achieve those temperatures as best it can. No. This is purely good old school manual. So let's see, I've gone from air conditioning today earlier because it actually got warm and toasty for a little while there, which was very pleasant. I took it on a long trip today. Didn't bring y'all along with me because, what was it I forgot? Oh yeah, it was a tripod mounting system problem, and there was a base plate that I forgot, so I couldn't put the camera where I needed to put it, and I couldn't bring you along. I'm sorry. It was kind of boring, really. I was going down there dive shop. I was talking to Jill, where she was. She's coordinating the trip to Bonaire that I'm going on, and we had to get our passport situation, and I was getting the nitrox pack. You know you get the nitrox package too, wouldn't you? That way you. Oh, why am I telling you any of this? Okay, so anyway. Here is our temperature setting right here, and we're getting real close to being about, I'd say, what we'll require there later tonight, because it's going to be kind of chilly a little bit. And then we will rotate this around, and I will go to here, right there. So that is where the air will be coming out, and here is our fan. Oh, listen to that roaring! Woo! I can't take it. It's okay. that's our fan. But anyway, that's a completely manual climate control system, which you may not have seen for quite some time. And here's your AC button, which of course you have to have the fan, and then on and off. And recirculation, you always have that if you want to just recirculate your cabin air. You know, there's people that have been driving cars for years and don't know what this does. And this is important this time of year because we've got so much pollen. You could like grow a maple tree on your car hood with all the pollen we have. Well, actually you need the pollen and you need the, anyway. The fact of the matter is, it's a really, really valuable setting to be familiar with because right now we're just recirculating air and heating it inside the cabin. We're not taking any outside air at all. Now, and that's good, like I say, because the allergy situation, everybody's getting the crap beat out of them with right now. But if you do this, that turns off the recirculation, and you do get external air coming into your climate control system. So a lot of people don't even realize that, and I understand. I mean, it's just another thing to be aware of. But it's a really good thing to have because there's times. There used to be a town in Texas called Luling, and I'm almost positive it's still there. And there was a place just outside of Luling, if I recall, called Giddings. It had really good chicken fried steak. Anyway, Luling for the longest time was a place where they did an awful lot of oil pumping out of the ground, and then they treated it with some kind of something. But anyway, Luling used to have, and all of you blessed, lovely people in Luling, I'm not going after your town, other than to say when I was a kid, that place smelled terrible. And what you were smelling was the petroleum stuff, and it probably wasn't good for you either, but it smelled. But you could drive through there in your car and turn on your inside recirculation, and that would help knock the smell down a little bit. I have no idea if Luling still smells. I imagine it smells like a beautiful spring day now. But back when I was growing up and I was a kid and we'd drive through Luling on our way to Yorktown, boy, I always as a kid said, oh my God, we're getting close to, I would be in the back seat of the Dodge Monaco asleep. And then I'd start to wake up because I was smelling Yuling. And back then, I don't think we had this. I don't think we had the recirculation ability. Maybe we did. Anyway, God, have I taken enough time talking about this? No, never. There's always more. Okay, well, all we have back here is, here's your engine start-stop. It's all the way down here for reasons that I don't really know, as opposed to, I could swear the Jetta might have been up here. No, it probably wasn't. It was probably in the exact same place. But here's our manual shifter for automatic transmission, which has 8 speeds in manual mode, I think. Wait a minute. Does it tell me? Can you tell me this? It has this, and it does have front wheel drive. Yes, yes. And the transmission is. That really doesn't say. Well, anyway, it's an 8-speed automatic transmission, probably the exact same one that's in the Jetta. Now, so I've shown you, it's very mechanical and straightforward. And for your manual shifting, you go over here, plus and minus. There are no paddle shifters on account of this is an SE, and you don't get them. And here is our electronic parking brake, which works beautifully. And here you can actually turn off the A circle. Now the A circle stands for atmosphere, and if you do that, you'll completely destroy, in addition to having the recirculation that will stop the air from coming in, this will destroy all the atmosphere. I'm lying. That's your automatic start-stop system. See? Start-stop system activated. That will allow the engine to turn itself off when you're sitting in a stoplight or a stop sign, or sitting in the drive-through deal, and you have it in drive, and if conditions are appropriate, it'll turn off the engine, and then the engine will instantly restart. Start-stop system is deactivated. Start-start system is activated. So that's what that is, and we have places for other things. and there's nothing there. That really bothers some people when that happens, and I don't blame you. But what are they going to do? There's really, they'd have to build an entirely proprietary trim thing here if they, you know, they'll just put switches in when you get the better trim levels. That's what I'm saying. In here, we have USB-C ports, and in here, our QI charger, and it works beautifully with my iPhone with the OtterBox case on it, the Defender, in fact, which I recommend you all buy, because when you drop your phone or hurl it at something, or it falls out of your pocket, or you're on a horse and you drop it. See, I almost rhymed. My wife has had that happen to her. The OtterBox Defender has defended her iPhone, and neither one of us has ever had a screen break or a housing thing when we've had that case in. So it's a great case. I'm just telling you. And if you put it here in your QI and you have a phone that does in fact allow that type of charging system, which is completely hands-free, cord-free, and everything else, and it'll just charge the bottom of your phone, it works really well with that case in. Unlike, I'm talking to you, Toyota. I'm talking directly to you. It doesn't work as well. It usually doesn't charge very well. So, kudos to Volkswagen, because that's a very interesting, easy, efficient charging system that is hands-free and beautiful. Okay, here we have this area here. Now, this, I have no idea why it's that shape or what it's for. This is a French fry that came from Five Guys, and they charge a kingly Prince Charles just got abdicated or certified, or whatever it is they do in England to make him the head of the monarchy. That just happened, and there's a French fry there. Now, how this ties into Five Guys, I actually had a thought. It's gone. All right, now then, what's in here? We have a nice little cubby in our central, and there you go. You can put a lot of stuff in there. That's your... You know, COVID's not dead, folks. I'm just telling you, and I have a wife who just had some cancer stuff, and so you want to keep any kind of infectious material away from her until she gets all her immune stuff back, and she almost has. And she's doing great. Thank you for asking. She's doing splendidly. Everything's gone very well. Thank you, Massachusetts. Who are these people? Is the University of Massachusetts? Anyway, she has been well taken care of by these people. Now, what else do we have? Well, we have a steering wheel. It's got an awful lot of crap on it. This area here, this is what I was using earlier to back and forth with the, well, let's do it properly, with that, right? And here's your right side that you can adjust, and here is your left side that you can, excuse me, left side that you can adjust. And you hit OK when you're happy on that, like driving data. Right, there we are. And this is to talk to the car. Let's see what the car does if I press it. Hello? Pardon, écoutez. It doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't have that. That's very strange. That's like, oh, I know. Hey, everybody. Okay, ready? Let's turn it on. There, now that we're on, now let's try it. Hello. What would you like to do? I would like to go to Cozumel and dive the wall, but my doctor says I can't. What say you? Nothing. You see, there's nothing they can do about that. Anyway, so that's how you access that. I'll turn you off now. Thank you. The view thing is what was changing the cluster. And this heated steering, huh? For an SE model? That's pretty great. That's a very nice thing to have right there. And this, of course, is changing your favorites on your audio selection. If you have selected favorites, favorite radio stations, favorite XM, whatever. And here we have our volume. Now, that does this with the radio, but you got to go over here to do these things, which is just volume. Then above that, and I will give them some continuity in that the way they used to do cruise control with all the Volkswagens and the Audis was this little stalk that was right here on this side, but at least the current cruise control system is in fact on the left side. And there we are on. It's now deactivated, and then I'll put it back on. This is our following distance, which we can adjust right here. You see it gets bigger and smaller right here. Yep. There we go. Okay. And then we have our speed adjustment, which is left and right, up and down. Now I actually realize what this is. This is telling you to put your foot on the brake to take it out of parking brake. And then I put it back on like that, and the parking brake's back on. And then when I raise my foot, it's going to go green with a little foot telling me you got to press the brake down to do anything. There we go. God, I'm figuring this out, man. Give me another 19 Volkswagens and I'll understand how they do stuff. This is our cruise control that involves lane keeping as well, also known as travel assist in Volkswagen parlance. But wait, maybe I want to do that and just go back to regular cruise control without the assistance of the steering, which isn't all that great, by the way. It's average at best. It can get weavy depending on what the road does. So, all right, we have so comprehensively covered the front of the car. Is it plasticky on our SC? Yeah, there's a lot of hard plastic. This appears to be a different kind of hard plastic. It might be metal, but I think it's really nice looking. It actually has a nice solid Teutonic German, I am built for quality look about it. Oh, I forgot to go up to the, oh, there is none. Okay, we don't have a moonroof on this. We do have our lights right there and right there. And this means it will open when the, turn on when the door is opened. And that's this side over here, which is our rear. Look at there, huh? That's nice that you can do that from up here. It's pointless, but, and then we have our other map light. All right, now we're going aft. Oh, is there anything else? Anything? No, okay. Here we are. I think you need to be quiet now. I'm right here. Okay, opening. Almost 90 degrees, but not quite. Now this here is designed to fend off someone if they try to carjack you. No, actually it's a vacuum connection that someone left in the car at the fleet company when they were vacuuming, and I'm gonna leave it right there so they can find it when this comes back. Now then, let's have a seat. Oh my God, look at the room. And there's a lot of leg room here, and I have the seat back a little bit, but man, leg room is excellent. And USB-C and ventilation, which you can turn on and off at your desire. Now the the belt line's very high. I'm surprised. It's all the way up here. And if you want to put your arm, let's put that window down and see if it'll go all the way. Almost. God, I'd say 93, 98%. But if you want to put your arm up here, you're gonna have to be anatomically different than me, because that's really high, to tell you the truth. But it's a nice big window that goes almost all the way down, and we're fine with that. It's very minimalist here. That's all there is, and that's good. That's fine. That's fine. Just fine. Speakers to what is actually a very good sound system I discovered today when I was enjoying some jams. I was listening to the Jimmy Buffett concert from, I believe, Boston, Massachusetts. Not Wrigley Field. I'm sorry, Fenway. Sorry, Boston people, but just remember, you're just Connecticut's hat. Don't get off highfalutin. And now we have like a moderate drive shaft tunnel, and there is no drive shaft because this is front drive. But the Taos is available with all-wheel drive, in which case there will be a drive shaft in there, and that's why you have that substantial hump, square-like thing. Very Teutonic, very cubist. You see how they do that. And now, oh, you know I haven't gone into? What is this upholstery? Excuse me, I'm gonna come back up here again because we have, God, these glasses and this Monroney together are horrible. Leatherette. Oh, that's the steering wheel. That's what I was thinking. Yes, it has, I believe this is, I'm going to guess, because I can't read this, and I'll make this clear later, what it is. Matter of fact, if you look at the bottom of the screen, they'll tell you, but what we have is like a leather, this is not leather, I don't think. This is some kind of a Softex type material, but there is a very nice textile here, so you get best of both worlds, and you have the same in the back. This is almost like a suede material here, and then a smooth leather type here, and then a more textile like here. So for an SE, this is a very nice kind of upholstery because it's actually shows some attention to detail, and it's comfortable. The rear seat is pretty flat, but it's not the worst I've seen by a long shot. There is a little bit of lower back support, and my favorite feature, the armrest. Let's see how we do. Perfect. Good height, good length. Yep, I think this is great. But you know, I was in a more expensive vehicle at a higher trim level recently that did not have these individual map lights. Individual map light. And the thing that's so wild about that is you can turn them on up there. And I don't know for sure. Oh, there's all kinds of reasons. Dad's in the car driving, mom's here, the children are here, and the children are getting up to something, and it's nighttime. So mom just hits that switch right where was it? Was it here? No, was it here? That's it. And she hits that switch, and all of a sudden the children are illuminated and they're caught. Put that machete down, Tommy. Don't you be pointing it at your sister. And that's what they'll do with that. So that's nice. Oops, sorry. Nice feature for a family. And again, we have this, the upholstery is really, the trim, I like a lot because it's very, very, it's inexpensive and yet it's nice. It has a good look to it, and it has a good solid feel. I just don't like the high belt line because you can't put your arm there, but you can see out. It's all right. So anyway, that's it. This is our SE Taos Volkswagen front drive SUV. Thank you for sticking with me. This is the longest interior video where I actually didn't say anything so far. Look what you got to get all excited for and look forward to, because it's only going to get worse. Einstein was a sailor, of that there is no doubt. Well, in the words of James William Buffett, wow, we have our situation here where we're driving our Jetta that's not a Jetta at all, it's a Taos. I keep coming back to that, but it is a couple of things I should have noted right away. Is I don't think there is a body panel on this Taos that is not swappable, but much less not completely different in so many ways than what's on the Jetta. It's mainly the chassis itself and the drivetrain that is identical, but everything else, it has a much higher greenhouse. And here's a weird one. I mean, this is all just seat of the ear interpretation, but this thing actually, to me, seems a little bit quieter than the Jetta, even though it's sticking up into the air higher now. How do you figure that? Well, I don't know. You know, I noticed and pointed out some stuff, a thing in particular. I think there's a lot of attention to detail on this particular car to keep it quieter. All right, let's cruise. On, set, we're set, and we're cruising. Very nice. Now, this being a particular trim level that is, what is this particular trim level? Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, I don't need to do that. Okay. Where is it? Do I have it here? What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Hang on there. Stick with me. There we are. It's an SE. Thank you. This is a fairly modest, I would say, trim level because this car doesn't have a whole lot of stuff on it. It's just front wheel drive, not all wheel drive. Doesn't have a navigation system. Does have a decent stereo. I mean, that's a good thing because most of them do that, like I said before. But like, look here with our climate control, as pointed out earlier. This is Spartan stuff. There is no automatic setting at all. So this is, again, which I went over and over and tried with everything I could to emphasize the fact that the Jetta was very affordable, and yet you got a lot for your money. Well, same here. I mean, they are so similar to each other in their Neptune blue livery, but it's every once in a while, most of the time when fleet companies give you a vehicle to test, it's usually loaded. Not always, but usually. And lately I've been getting from Volkswagen some that are much further down in the trim range, and I'm really glad about that because it's a good way of looking at what you can get. People have to realize something right off the bat, and even though supply lines are doing much better now and everything else, you might have to wait a few months to get the exact vehicle you want, but it's worth it. If you're gonna build a house, I got news for you. You're gonna have to wait several months before your house is ready to move into. It's these big investments. Make them carefully, make them with great consideration, and have a little bit of patience. Woo, boy, our adaptive cruise control seems to take its time before it reads. So what we have in front of us is a sign of the spring because the grass is growing like nobody's business. We've had so much rain up here that the grass is just nuts. And so those that tend to lawns, the landscape types, with their vehicles have been out in force. And you see them everywhere. And this one, we got a nice Gravely on the back of this. That's a fine mower right there, that Gravely. If you have been attending the Boots array of videos, 99% of all about cars, but there is one about a mower. It's an Arians, which is a direct relative to that mower right there. Oh, we're going the same direction. Or you're going there? No, I'm going there. Oh, you're going there. I see where you're going. Well, I'm going over here. And here I go. Woohoo! Wet paint. Wet paint? I don't see no wet paint. Do you see any wet? Oh, man. Somebody's messing with me. There is no wet paint here. What did I just tell you? What did I just tell you? Now, up on the right here, we got this fella right here, mowing away. And he's got your X mark. That's a very popular professional grade mowing device. Are we going full electric on our mowers? Boy, not till the price comes down. The equivalent of what I have electrically, basically the exact same mower except powered 100% by electric motors, costs 5 times what I paid for mine. you're looking at $25,000 for a lawnmower. I don't think so. Hopefully that'll come down real soon. Oh, look at how pretty that, oh, that's nice. I mean, everywhere you go, you see striping, the striping which is done. Now, if I was to drive this, beautiful little Taos out there, it would not leave such beautiful striping the way whatever mower left that striping. It would just have a couple of wheel things. Ah, there's another. Geez, I'm telling you, they're out in force. This is actually one of the reasons I find this amusing is just because it's. Is that another one? Is that another one on the back of a trailer? Is it? No, it's empty. We had like day after day of rain last week, and it's early spring. Yeah, almost mid-spring, I guess. Time is flying by. And it rained for so long that nobody could mow, really. And so everybody's grass went crazy bonkers. And, or as we like to call it, silly buggers. And so the grass was growing like crazy, and all of a sudden you knew it, you had to mow as soon as you had the opportunity, which meant a couple of days. And that's what I did. What is today? It's 2 days ago that I did our barn. And man, some of that grass was knee deep. Now, could this Taos handle knee deep grass? It did, because I drove around up there a little bit with it. I was going to do some shooting that I turned out had to go do something else, one of my day jobs. But the fact of the matter is, what do you do with a vehicle like this when it doesn't have all-wheel drive? When it's a great little, it's like I hate to say this because manufacturers sometimes get stroppy, but this is a Volkswagen Forester, as far as I'm concerned, because I equate the two, even though the Forester's a little bigger. Or a RAV4, or a CRV, or a... Is it an Escape? Yeah, I'd say so. It's a Volkswagen Escape. It's in that class. And the best thing about that class is they're more affordable than the larger versions. This is a lot more affordable than, say, an Atlas, which is a really, really nice SUV that's got beaucoup de room in it. It's a really, really nice thing. And there's all kinds of things about this you need to think about. When you're entering into the Volkswagen family, you're entering into a certain way of doing things. Just like if you get a GM product, you're entering into a certain way of how they lay out their instrumentation. And that's another reason why I say you really need to drive and sample a vehicle before you buy it to find out if that interface is for you, because it used to be many years ago, without all the technology we have now, they were all pretty much the same. There wasn't any real dramatic difference unless you, for instance, lived in Texas and got a Peugeot from France. The French did think, there's our painting, there's our wet paint right there. My God, look at this operation. It's huge. There are so many vehicles involved. Well, 3. And all these people are all getting grumpy because they can't just zoom along. They have to wait for the paint to dry, as we all do when paint is wet. So anyway, you have all these instrumentations now that you didn't have before. You have all these touchscreen interactions and everything else. Incidentally, my screen is off right now because there's no navigation system and I don't have the radio on, so clock. Clock is good. Analog clock, but it is not an analog. It's like quartz. Look at that. Time does not do that, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you need a mechanical analog watch, because time does not stop and start. I hate that. I have one quartz watch that does that, but it's a very special watch, so I allow it. What is the term I want to look for here? I give it some leeway. Well, I just let it do what it wants. Hello, exhaust pipe. Hello, suspension. What in the world? Well, is this what I think it is? I do believe it is a beam. A torsion beam rear suspension on this Taos, which is not unusual. I'm trying to remember the first vehicle utility type that I saw this torsion suspension on, and I keep going back to Chrysler for some weird reason. But the fact of the matter is, there's been so many vehicles, especially front-wheel drive vehicles, like this one, which is not all-wheel drive, that has a very simple torsion beam suspension. How it works is you basically have this structure right along here. And where's my device? I need the device in order to, well, let's just look at it this way. There we are. Now, this device here is our torsion beam. And what it does is you have to select this up. See these holes in here? This is all designed to flex at a certain rate. So, is this a independent rear suspension? Well, that's when you get into strange areas. For the most part, absolutely yes. Because the right side tire, for example, in the rear, is not as affected by what is going on with the left side tire. They have a degree of independent movement. But not as much as you have when you have a fully independent setup like with AA arms or a multi-link. Well, multi-links tend to be straight axles. But anyway, going back to this particular setup, these work fine, and they're also very good. I believe, if I remember, the Ford Maverick front-wheel drive is one of the latest vehicles like this that I have sampled, although not on this channel because that was pre the Boots Darkington channel. We had a torsion beam rear suspension on it, and you can carry quite a bit of weight. It has a coil spring right there. Wait, hang on there. Here's your coil, and here's your shock absorber. Here's your, over here we got your brakes right there. It's a very, very simple and inexpensive type of suspension, and it has, for this type of vehicle, it's actually a good choice. It does have its limitations, and it doesn't respond. It's not the state-of-the-art type of response that you'd really like to have if you're going for the ultimate in rear suspension design. However, for a vehicle like the Taos, which is a sturdy little ute of a creature, this is a perfectly acceptable way to do things. Not a problem. Now, if you look forward, my gosh, we got all this cladding here. This is a polymer of some sort, as is all this. That looks to be metallic right in there, and that looks to be more of your polymer. So overall, things are tucked away very, very nicely. There's no rear drivetrain, of course, to even mess with. So all you have to run fore and aft is your wiring to various things and your exhaust system, which is also very rudimentary and pretty straightforward. And so you have a lot of aerodynamics on the underside of this vehicle, and you have a good amount of ground clearance for this type of vehicle. It's just the biggest limitation this particular model has at this price point is the fact that you don't have all-wheel drive. Can you get it? Yep, you certainly can. On Taos models, you can get all-wheel drive. In which case, I think you have probably a completely different rear suspension. But this is the one on the front driver for your enjoyment and entertainment. Wow, what about suspensions? How about suspending your disbelief? When I told you earlier that I thought I got about 25 miles per gallon in the Jetta, I got about 33. looking back at my records, but this Taos here, I got about 35 miles per gallon in mixed driving, which is very, very good. And you know what else is also very good is what you have to pay for this. This is a bargain, folks. $30,220 out the door for this particular 1.5T SE model, and it's only front drive. You can get it with all-wheel drive, and it doesn't have navigation system, but you can get a larger trim level that has navigation, so you can get those things on it if you need it. However, if you don't, you have a real nice little transport here for a very reasonable price that should be a very economical vehicle to own, as well as very versatile. So thank you for watching. It's a nice little vehicle. Consider it if you're in the market. And please subscribe, tell your friends, and above all, drive safely out there. We'll see you next time.